Hello guys and welcome to the first ever Python programming video on our channel. In this series, we'll be walking you through the Python on the whole from basics to advanced, and we'll be looking into so much more in middle. In today's video, we'll be actually learning about our print function. We'll learn about our input function, and we learn how we can give an output after taking input from the user. And by the end of the day, our end goal is to take inputs of the user's name and age and print it out in a single line. Without wasting any time, let's dive into the print function. Print function simply goes in with the word print, and after print we'll type down our parentheses. Now we use these parentheses to store whatever value we are going to print out. All right, and after this, we'll just simply add in our quotation marks in between those parentheses. Now, what this will do is it will print out a string value for me. Now, string values are actually your simple alphabets or words or a combination of letters which we can print out. So these string values aren't really capable of playing any part in your mathematical stuff, any mathematical operation or anything. So it's simply just like words playing around. Even if you have integers and you cast it out as a string that we're going to learn when we move forward, but if you cast it out as a string, they'll act as a string and won't play any part in the calculations on the whole. I'll just type in hello. This is a string value which I have typed in between the parentheses and the quotation marks. Now I'm going to run it for you. Over here, you can see it has simply typed in hello for me. Now, I'll just give you another example and then we are going to move forward. Let's say if I print out print quotation marks hello you, and I'll just run it for you in here. Over here, you can see it printed out hello first and then hello you. And the reason it did was it has nothing to do with whatever we printed out previously. Our program actually went to the first line. It saw what we were asking for. We were asking for it to print out hello, which it did in the first line again. And then it went on to the second line. And the second line, we were asking it to print out hello you, which it did again and printed out hello you for us. Now we're going to learn how we can actually make our program run, add in two string values in one and print it out as one. So over here we already have print hello done for you. I'll just give it a space mark, put in an addition sign, and with that I'm going to have another string value that might say you, simply you. All right, now if I run it for you, it's just going to simply print in hello you. But over here you can see it hasn't really gotten any space in the middle, and that is because we didn't provide any space after hello or before you. And Python is space conscious, so I'll just simply go in, and this time I'll just give it a space. I can give a space before you or after hello, whatever works for you. Now I'll run it. Over here you can see it's giving me hello you. And this is how we can actually join in two string values together in a single print function and print the value out. It's going to be useful when we work out on a day one challenge. Now moving on to the input function. What does the input function exactly do? It actually does what the name says. It just takes the input from the user, and if we ask it to print it out first, it will return us with the value. And if not, it will just simply sit there. Let's say if I simply go in and type down input. After this, I'll add in my parentheses. I and after this, it will give off a question to the user. It will ask the user to give any value out to it. Let's say over here it simply asks, what is your age? I'll run it for you and you can see what it does. Over here, you can see it's simply asking me that what is my age. I can simply type it down now, but it won't really return me a certain value for the input. And that is because we are not printing out the value for the input. To do that, I'll simply just go in and ask it to print the input out for me. And now if I run it out, it is asking me the same question, what is your age? I'll type it in and it will return me a value of 25. That is my age. Alright, now let's see how did the program work. Over here, inside of the print function, we had the input function, and inside of the input function, we were actually asking out for our age. So what the program did was it actually ran this part of the code here. It actually asked me in the question that was stored inside of the input function. Once it got the answer for the input function, it simply printed out the value that was given by the user. Now moving forward, we learn about our variables. Variables are a very important part in programming. It just helps to keep the code clean, a bit shorter, a bit precise, a bit readable, all of it together. Now, over here, we were actually taking in input and then printing it out. But we can just make things a bit more cleaner and a bit more readable. Let's say I simply go in and say age. I can actually say anything. I can name it ball or a cat, anything. But a good programmer always keeps the variable's name a bit relatable, so it is readable afterwards. I'll just assign the value of the variable with an equals to sign. And after this, I'll simply go in and write down input, what is your age. Now over here, what this variable is doing is it's actually going to store in the value which I'm going to provide to it as my input to the program. It's just going to store the value. Now if I want, it will return it to me if I just print it out. If not, we can just try running it first so we can see the difference for ourselves. Over here you can see it says what is your age. I can simply type in 25, but it won't really print anything out because we are not asking it to print anything. But now if I just go in and simply go in with print age. Now what I'm doing over here is I'm actually asking the program to print the variable out on the whole, and the variable is having the input from the user. It's getting stored inside of the variable, and it's just gonna simply print the variable out on the whole. Printing it out, it's asked me a question. Now over here you can see it has printed out my age. So this is what my values do. Now, talking about how can we actually just, go in and join in two different sorts of variables, we can actually work it out now on our day one challenge. Over here, you can see that I have a few things given out after hashes. So whatever comes in after hashes is actually not counted in as a code. It's actually just standing there but not participating in anything important inside of our code or doing anything at all. So it might just be there to guide it out for us, or it might be there to explain what the part of code is exactly doing. Over here in the first line, we can say after the hash, this says this code prints name and age of the user using the inputs given by the user. The first part asks us to greet your user with a message. So I can simply greet my user saying print, hi, I'd like to know your name and age. Closing it in, moving off to the second thing that is being asked. Now the code is asking us to ask the user for their name. So I can simply add in a variable that might say user name, and I can assign the input here. I can say input, what is your name? Afterwards, I can simply go in and ask the user for the age. I can add out another variable that says age input. What is your age? All right. Now, in the other part, we are actually asked to print out the name and age of the user, but in a certain way. It should be your user's name first, and then is, and then the age of the user, and then years old. So it can be Hannah is 12 years old. All right, something like that. So obviously, we are printing stuff out, so we have to add in our print function first, add in a parentheses. After this, I can simply go in and have to mention out my variable name, that is user name. And after this, I'll add in my @ sign. With this over here, you can see it's a string value. So I'll just add in my quotation mark. I can say username is plus, I can just type in my age. That is going to be age variable. With that, I'm going to add in my years old. So since this is a string value, I'll just add in my quotation marks again. So it's going to be years old. Now I'm going to try to run all of this together. But before that, I'll just add in spaces after my string value. So it just adds in a reasonable space between the sentence on the whole. Now I'm going to simply try to run it on the whole. So running it would actually ask me, it's greeting me first, as my print function said. After this, it's asking me for my name. So I'm just going to type in Yusha. Now this is asking me for my age. So I'm just going to simply go in with my age. That's 25. Now, as you can see, it has printed out a value that says Yusha is 25 years old. Right? So this is what we are going to do in this challenge, and I would highly appreciate if you guys could pause it and try to do this challenge on your own and send me any queries that you might be facing, and I'll be more than happy to see your results too. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, you take care. Bye bye.